Happy Monday, y'all. This is Charlene from Lady in Waiting 222, and today is our Monday Mini Devotional. This is the fourth and last week of our Biblical Women's History, where we've been studying a woman in Scripture to find out things that we can learn from her life. And today we are focusing on Martha. And the title of this devotional is A Woman of Welcoming. So the scripture for today is Luke chapter 10, verse 38, and then verse 40. I'm reading from the New Living Translation. It says, As Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Then verse 30, I'm just going to read the first part. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. In our last Christ Coffee and Conversation gathering, which we have once a month, the first Saturday of every month, we talked about the type of woman we want to be. And one of the ones that I mentioned was something that I saw in my grandmother, which kind of inspired the blog post I wrote in the conversation we had, was that my grandmother was a woman of welcoming. Anyone that came to our house always felt loved, cared for, and felt like they were at home and like they were family. She just made them feel that way. She had the gift of hospitality, of serving. And it's one of the many things that I appreciated and loved about her. This is a very familiar passage of scripture. And we often hear about the contrast between Mary and Martha in this scripture. And while it is important, I want to focus on something that people may not often talk about or focus on, and that's that Martha, not Mary, was the one that welcomed Jesus into her home. We see later on that Mary's the one that is found sitting at his feet, but Martha was the one that welcomed Jesus into her home. So Martha means lady of the house. Okay, often she gets a bad rap for a variety of reasons, yet she embodies her name. In the Greek, that word welcome, when you look it up, means to receive as a guest, to admit under one's roof, that is, entertain, hospitality, receive. And so I want you to focus again on the fact that Martha, not Mary, was the one that welcomed Jesus into their home. So what happened between verse 38 and 40, where it says that, but Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing? So considering that, how did Martha go from a woman of welcoming to being distracted with serving? She didn't first learn to sit with Jesus. And so I just want to encourage you today, as you're thinking about Martha, she didn't always start out as the one who was found doing instead of being, right? She was the one that welcomed Jesus into her home, welcomed him into their space. She extended hospitality to the King of Kings. But somewhere along the line, she became distracted by all the things that were around her in preparing and serving and things like that. So what was it that happened to Martha? What happened between the time and the space that she welcomed Jesus into her home to becoming distracted? She didn't learn to be, right? She didn't learn to begin to operate in her being and not in her doing. And so I would challenge you all today. You may have been like Martha, who started out welcoming Jesus, extending the invitation and inviting him into your home, into your space, into your life. But somewhere along the way, you became distracted. And I would encourage you today and this week to go back and welcome Jesus back into your home, back into your spaces. Lay aside everything else that you may have been doing that has taken up your time from being with Jesus and welcoming him into everything that you're doing, including him in the process. Be a woman of welcoming. Be a woman who is not so distracted by all the cares of life and everything that's happening around her that you, in a sense, ignore Jesus, who was the one you have welcomed in to your heart, right? In the beginning, into your space, into your home. And so I would encourage you to think about that If you somehow may find yourself in Martha's shoes, don't get discouraged. If you welcome him into your home, he's waiting for you to invite him into everything else that you're doing. And so that you learn to be, so that you can do all he's called you to do. You all be. I learned that. I love acronyms. I always say be blessed, be encouraged. So go and be. Be blessed, be encouraged. And I'll talk to you all soon. Y'all take care.